So tell me what to talk now. Hello. 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 What is a libation? In some religious texts, a libation can refer to pouring out a liquid like wine or malt liquor as an offering to a god or deity. Pouring out is a symbol of devotion, praise, worship, associated with sacrifices in various contexts. Now, in the Bible, libations hold profound significance as a form of worship, devotion that transcends mere ritual. These offerings often involve pouring of wine and other liquid substances as an act of acknowledgement of God's sovereign grace. Practice is intricately woven fabric of ancient Israelite worship, signifying the community's gratitude and reverence towards God. The text prescribes that alongside burnt offerings, a drink offering of wine is to be presented. Those ritual libations complement the act of sacrifice and enrich the overall worship experience. This ritual emphasizes the need for total devotion, everything consumed ceremonially, acknowledges God's providence and power. However, libations can also serve as a broader theological purpose. It can represent the pouring out of itself in spiritual humility, giving up, giving over. The act of offering this becomes a metaphor for relinquishing control, embracing dependence, divine grace. Pouring out of drinks, offerings to idols, examining how this practice can bring grace and worship. Underscoring the inherent choice between true devotion to God and a lure of idol. Thus, the biblical concept of libation illustrates not only a physical act of worship, but also symbolizes a heart posture of surrender, acknowledgement of divine blessing, and the communal identity of believers to God. The due understanding invites deeper reflection on how modern worshipers approach the offerings and encourage them, consider whether their lives express devotion akin to libations of authentic reverence and gratitude. Libations, biblically, are not just ritual offerings. They're also a rich theological symbol, resonating themes of covenant community. See, sometimes during very significant communal gatherings, such as feasts or religious festivals, libation serves as an expression of shared identity among the people of Israel. After pouring out during offering can be seen as a communal gesture that reinforces not only the individual relationship with God, but also the collective bond amongst the community, highly significance of unity and worship. Where members converge to acknowledge God's blessings together, thus reinforces the covenantal relationship with Him as chosen people. Additionally, the concept of libation extends prophetic dimension within the biblical literature. Oh, you come to mess with my video now. The imagery of pouring out can convey messages of limitation, divine judgment. Several prophetic writers utilize the motif of libation to symbolize judgment faced by nations. Individuals fall away from God's commandments, suggesting that spiritual neglect leads to dire consequences. This recontextualizing of libations, religious revitalization rituals, reflects a hidden understanding of being an account relationship between one's deity and existence. In effect, pouring out may represent both an offering of gratitude or a shadow rejection when you're not in the favor of that one that you worship. As a result, these libations not only encourage hearing, seeing, tasting, touching, feeling, suffering in the Bible, but the frame, it provokes a tough conversation about the whole nature of faith itself. It can even be a communal celebration, put you to account to one's own dedication. It's a sort of symbolism when we're talking about religious texts. These libations represent an act of malevolence to one's deity and on God. It may represent significance of offering something that is praised very high for giving your gratitude. The act is not just a ritual. It really embodies the will of the individual's deities, givings and appreciation. It may serve as a tangible example of devotion to one's belief, and in relation to that is beyond the human existence. Libations may mean and be like a sort of tattoo to some sacrifices in giving over one's own personal interests. You pour out this libation. Some will demonstrate their need to give away something that's very dear to them, to reflect something deeper in the spiritual about giving over even one's own life to the higher powers' desires. The simple practice would be and could be metaphorically for one's own journey of letting the world not run them to embrace a life in the spiritual or something more divine in the service of worship and giving over. Insofar as libations often play a bigger role in a communal worship, a shared ritualistic practices in the whole of communal activity day to day. They can serve as a means or a means to the end for the unity of one or many collectively in believing and being devoted. The practice of sharing libations can bring about a true feeling, a true understanding of collective working together of a community. And effectively, one's own personal adventure communally that binds together and ties belief and those practices and the ties that bind, practices that create beliefs in ritualistic fashion, exemplifying that devotion to that tenet. The faith community deepen. Your practice, your faith will be an invitation to proceed on that path, to immerse yourself in the readings of those religious texts, those books, those writings, compositions, oratory, significations, protestations of faith, testaments, and heart-guided writings, setting on the side for a time, many times a day, for said devotion. It should be a two-way transaction to speak to a higher power, not just the one-to-one engagement. Communally can be a Lincoln Park volunteer at a park or a religious gathering to get together with others who have the same beliefs. It can be a mutual benefit and encouragement. Let's not forget Faith is not endpoint, but it continues on and on to reflect your God's love by your existence. If you can begin to put together and nurture habits, you can affect lives around you. You can, and you can reflect the lives around you. So do not forget that libations can bring you closer to that which you seek in your holy journey, in devotion to your faith and religion. It may be a means to an end, and the end could justify the means to that end. 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 In the Sumerian tradition, the caverns are underground. A core is the souls eat dirt. See, family members would pour libations into a glaive through clay. See, Hittite kings, Syrian priests held libations. It was part of society. It's an offering, honor, given to various sacrifices for human beings who were alive but not there. It would give way to, even in the Upper Nile Valley, that the custom can be found everywhere. We usually pour out alcohol to ancestors and divine individuals that were not only deceased but maybe not present. It may have been spread towards Meroe and Philae. Milk was known by Nubians to Philae. A mortuary priest would offer libations representing the flooding of the Nile. Yes. Barak shaman. A libation can be seen as a toward of pouring a liquid or offering to a higher power to remember the dead. Ever since antiquity, it occurs in many cultures. Many substances are used. It could be alcohol, olive oil, honey, even ghee in India. They're often secular. It can be poured into an altar, earth, and even in Greek, Roman, and ancient societies, using cups or drugs. A libation comes from the Latin word libatio, means the act of pouring, or liber, to taste, to sip, pour out, make a libation, to pour out. In Greece, during the time of Alexander, before and after, it was a central aspect in religion. And it's simple. Commonly, it was a practice, and it was basic for a deity when they worshiped the gods. Back to the Bronze Age, even prehistory, libations were part of everyday life and performed them every day, in the morning and evening, to start meals. Mixed wine and water, and also unmixed wine, honey, oil, water, or milk. Typical libation, sponde, is pouring wine from a jug or a bowl, usually held in the hand. The common ritual is to pour liquid for a noche into a phileo, which was a small bowl designed just for that. After wine was poured into Philel, the remainder of the onche contents, drunk by the person celebrating or people celebrating. Libations were poured out when drinking wine, even in the Homeric epics. The Symposium, when the crotcher of wine was served, libations made to Zeus. Heroes got libations from the crater, Zeus, and also Agathos Daemon from the third bowl to Hermes. An individual in this disposal could also make an invocation libation of the god of his choice, Ares. Agatha Demonis. Yes, protector of the house. First water is fetched from a freshly flowing spring. Cauldrons which stand in the sanctuary are garlanded with wood and filled with water, honey, olive oil. Turning towards the east. If it was me, it would be olive oil. The sacrificer tips that vessel west. Olive branches holding in her hand. Strong the ground, earth has strung a libation. The silent prayer departs, not looking back. It was even automated using altar fires, forced off from the cups to statues. In Rome, the libation was a religious act in the form of liquid, offering most often unmixed wine and perfumed oil. The Roman god Liber Pater later identified the Greek Dionysus, and Bacchus was the fini of Liba Mina libations and Liba, typhus cakes, drizzled with honey. Roman art, the libation is shown more. What was that?